When life feels uncertain, when your path seems hidden, and the doors in front of you appear locked, I want you to understand something that can transform your entire outlook. God is not abandoning you. God is positioning you. You are not being delayed. You are being directed. You are not being overlooked. You are being prepared. Every step you are taking right now, whether in joy or in struggle, is shaping you for the purpose God has already written for your life. That purpose will not be buried. That calling will not be erased. And that destiny will not be denied. God is moving pieces in your life that you cannot see. He is rearranging circumstances, aligning opportunities, and preparing people you have yet to meet, all so that when the time comes, you will stand exactly where your purpose will flourish. You see, the hand of God does not misplace you. God does not position you by accident. You may look around and see confusion, but God sees order. You may feel the sting of rejection, but God sees redirection. You may question why a door closed, but God knows it is because there is a greater door ahead that will not just open. It will swing wide because He has ordained it. Your life is not random. It is not left to chance. It is not drifting in uncertainty. It is under the sovereign hand of God, and where God places you, no power on earth can uproot you. Some of you have been crying out, asking, why am I still here? Why am I stuck in this place? Why has my breakthrough not come? And the answer is this: because God is still working in the soil of your spirit. He is strengthening your roots before He allows your branches to bear fruit. He is fortifying your heart before He enlarges your territory. He is stripping away what cannot go with you into your destiny. If you are in the waiting season, you are not being punished, you are being positioned. And when God positions you, it is never in vain. Think of how seeds are planted. They are buried, hidden beneath the ground where no eye can see them. If you only judged the seed by what you could see in that moment, you would assume it had been forgotten, lost in the darkness of the soil. But beneath the surface, unseen by human eyes, the seed is breaking open, pushing down roots, and being made ready to push upward into the light. That is exactly what God is doing in your life right now. You may feel buried, but you are actually planted. And when God plants you, He intends for you to grow. Do not despise the hidden seasons. Do not curse the days when no one calls your name, when your efforts go unnoticed, when your labor feels unseen. Those are the very days God is shaping your character, sharpening your spirit, and molding your endurance. God knows that public victories require private preparation. And He loves you too much to let you rise without roots. If He promoted you before your foundation was secure, the weight of your destiny would crush you. But because He is faithful, He positions you in places where your soul will be strengthened before your purpose blossoms. Some of you feel like you are standing still, but in reality, God is moving you into alignment. Alignment is more important than speed. You can run fast in the wrong direction and then never reach your purpose. But if you wait on God, even if the pace feels slow, you will arrive exactly where you are meant to be. God does not measure progress by how quickly you move, but by how faithfully you trust Him with each step. And when the moment comes, the very ground you stand on will testify that you were positioned there by the hand of God. You may be surrounded by people who misunderstand you, who cannot see what God has placed inside you, who speak against your dream and doubt your calling. But let me tell you, the opinion of man does not determine the positioning of God. People may overlook you, But God cannot overlook what he himself has planted within you. People may reject you, but God's acceptance carries you into places their rejection cannot block. People may try to push you aside, but when God says, this is where your purpose will flourish, no voice, no enemy, no circumstance can remove you from that position. There will be times when God positions you in uncomfortable places. Do not mistake discomfort for disfavor. Sometimes the most uncomfortable seasons are the most necessary seasons because they strip away what weakens you and strengthen what will carry you. A tree does not grow strong in calm winds, but in storms. It is the storm that forces its roots to dig deeper, that makes its trunk resilient, that teaches it to stand tall, even when the winds howl. In the same way, God uses the storms in your life to anchor you so that when your season of flourishing arrives, you will not be easily shaken. God does not just position you geographically. He positions your mind, your heart, your spirit. He removes relationships that were draining you. He redirects opportunities that would have distracted you. He closes doors that would have led to your destruction. You may not understand it in the moment, but one day you will look back and say, God, I see it now. Every no was leading me to the greater yes. Every delay was preparing me for the right time. Every disappointment was making room for the blessing you had ordained. God never positions you to stay stuck. He positions you to step into purpose. You must trust the timing of God. Too many of us want the promise without the process. We want the palace without the wilderness. We want the harvest without the planting. But God is not rushed. He knows exactly when to elevate you. He knows the precise moment your life must intersect with opportunity. If he placed you too early, you would not be ready. If he placed you too late, you might miss it. But when God positions you, it will be right on time. His timing is perfect, and his positioning is purposeful. I want you to hear this clearly. Your purpose is not fragile. It cannot be stolen by another person. It cannot be ruined by your mistakes. It cannot be canceled by your past. If God ordained it, then nothing can erase it. Even when you take detours, God knows how to redirect you back onto the right path. Even when you stumble, God knows how to lift you and set your feet firm again. Even when you feel lost, God knows how to guide you to the place where your life will flourish. What he begins, he will finish. What he plants, he will bring to harvest. And when that season comes, when God positions you in the place of your flourishing, you will see doors open that no man can shut. You will find favor in places where you were once rejected. You will discover opportunities that align perfectly with the gifts he placed in you. And you will realize that it was not your strength, not your connections, not your strategies that brought you there. It was the positioning of God. That awareness will humble you, strengthen you, and remind you to always give glory to the one who orchestrated every detail of your journey. There are moments in life when we think the silence of God is abandonment. We mistake his stillness for absence, his patience for neglect. But I tell you today, the silence of God is not absence, it is strategy. God is aligning the seasons, orchestrating circumstances, and preparing your soul so that when his word comes to pass in your life, it will not be partial, it will not be fragile, and it will not be premature. It will be whole, it will be strong, and it will be unstoppable. God does not need to explain himself to us, yet his actions always prove his faithfulness. When a farmer plants a seed, he does not stand above the soil and shout at it to grow. He waters it, he tends the ground, and then he waits. He trusts the process hidden beneath the earth. That is what God does with your life. He waters you with mercy. He nourishes you with strength. And then he allows time to do its work. You may not see the progress, but growth is happening in the hidden places of your soul. And when the appointed season arrives, you will not just sprout. You will bloom in ways that astonish even those who doubted you. Do not confuse movement with advancement. You may see others racing ahead, building their lives, achieving goals, gaining recognition, while you remain where you are, feeling as if nothing is changing. But advancement in God's kingdom is not measured by visible speed, it is measured by divine placement. If you are still, it is because God is securing you. If you are waiting, it is because God is preparing you. Advancement is not about how fast you go, but whether you arrive at the place where your purpose thrives. And when God finally moves you, you will cover in months what others could not cover in years, because his hand is upon you. There is a mystery in the way God positions his people. Sometimes he places you in unfamiliar territory, among strangers, in circumstances you cannot comprehend. You may look around and say, "This is not where I belong. Why would God bring me here?" But do not forget, purpose often unfolds in the most unexpected places. God may have positioned you in that very environment because it contains the lessons, the tests, the encounters that will shape your destiny. The soil may look rough, the climate may seem hostile, but God knows the exact conditions under which your spirit will grow the strongest. When God positions you, he is not only thinking of your comfort, he is thinking of your calling. And callings are refined in fire, not in ease. You will be stretched beyond what you think you can endure. You will be tested in ways that feel overwhelming. But every test is a teacher, every trial a sculptor, every hardship a tool in the hands of God to chisel away what does not belong in the person he is molding you to become. When you feel pressure, it is not to destroy you, it is to shape you. And when the shaping is complete, you will find yourself fit perfectly into the place God has prepared for you. Some of you are struggling because you are trying to force your own positioning. You are knocking on doors God never intended you to walk through. You are exhausting yourself chasing opportunities that look glittering but are not ordained for you. And you wonder why those doors remain closed. Let me tell you, when God closes a door, it is mercy, not punishment. He knows what lies beyond that door would derail your purpose, weaken your faith, or distract your spirit. Stop fighting for what God has already rejected. Stop crying over what God has already removed. If he blocked it, it is because he has reserved something greater. If he denied it, it is because it could not contain your destiny. True faith is not proven when God says yes. It is proven when God says wait. Can you trust him in the silence? Can you believe him in the stillness? Can you remain faithful when nothing seems to move? This is where many falter, because the human heart craves control. We want to see evidence. We want to touch proof. But God calls us to trust what we cannot yet see. He asks us to believe that behind the curtain of time, he is weaving threads into a masterpiece we cannot yet imagine. And those who dare to trust him in the unseen will one day stand in awe when he reveals what he has been preparing all along. Your destiny is not fragile. God's positioning of your life is not easily overturned. Do not fear that others can take what belongs to you. No one can steal what God has set apart for you. They may attempt to hinder, but they cannot halt. They may try to sabotage, but they cannot succeed. What God ordains is beyond the reach of human hands. He alone lifts up and he alone sets down. If he has declared that your purpose will flourish, then no power in heaven or earth can silence that declaration. Your responsibility is simply to remain faithful where you are until he positions you where he intends you to be. You may look at your life right now and see nothing remarkable, nothing that resembles the greatness God has whispered into your heart. But remember, the beginning of a tree looks like a fragile sprout. The beginning of a river looks like a trickle. The beginning of a journey looks like a single step. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not measure yourself by today's size. The greatness of your destiny is not defined by what you see now, but by what God has planted within you. That seed of purpose is alive, and when the season shifts, it will break forth with a strength that cannot be denied. Sometimes, God positions you in obscurity. He allows you to be hidden, not because you are unworthy, but because you are not ready to be seen. Visibility too early can be dangerous. Recognition too soon can be destructive. If the spotlight shines before your roots are strong, the very attention you long for could become the weight that crushes you. That is why God hides you. He keeps you under his hand until the right time. And when the time is right, he himself will reveal you. You will not have to beg for platforms. You will not have to manipulate for opportunities. You will not have to chase recognition. God himself will bring you forth, and when he does, no one can deny that his hand is upon you. There is a deeper truth here. God's positioning is not only about where you are, but about who you are becoming. Too often we focus on the destination, forgetting that God is more concerned with transformation. He is less interested in rushing you into a place of influence than he is in molding you into a person of integrity. Because if your character cannot sustain your calling, then your flourishing will be short-lived. God does not want you to rise quickly and fall suddenly. He wants you to rise steadily with roots deep enough to sustain the weight of your destiny. That is why the positioning may take longer than you expect, but it will always be worth the wait. And when at last you arrive at the place where God positions you to flourish, it will be clear to all that it was not human effort, but divine orchestration that brought you there. You will look back on the detours, the delays, the denials, and realize they were not hindrances, but stepping stones. You will see that the very things you thought were working against, you were actually working for you. Every closed door pushed you closer to the right door. Every disappointment pruned your heart for greater fruit. Every delay stretched your patience, expanded your faith, and prepared you for the season of overflow. That is why you must not despise the process. God is not a careless architect. He does not misplace stones or misalign beams. He builds with precision. He positions with intention. And when his work is complete, your life will be a testimony of his wisdom and faithfulness. Others will look at you and say, "How did you get here?" And your answer will not be, "I planned it. I strategized it. I controlled it." Your answer will be, "God positioned me. God led me. God placed me exactly where my purpose would flourish." There is a reason God does not always reveal the entire plan to you at once. If he showed you every detail, your heart might tremble at the magnitude of what he has designed. If he unveiled the full weight of your purpose, you might doubt that you could endure the journey required to reach it. So, in his wisdom, he gives you just enough light to take the next step. He whispers enough truth to keep your hope alive. He reveals enough vision to stir your faith, but hides enough to keep you dependent on him. This is not cruelty, it is mercy. For God knows that if you saw the end before you endured the middle, you might walk away from the process. But he also knows that if you trust him in each small step, you will one day stand in awe at the masterpiece he has created with your life. Understand this, the positioning of God is never wasted. Even the detours you do not understand, even the seasons you wish you could erase, even the places where you cried and asked, God, here. All of it was working for your good. God wastes nothing. The pain, the betrayal, the disappointment, the struggle, each becomes a brick in the foundation of your destiny. You may not see it now, but when the walls of your purpose rise, you will understand that every brick mattered. Every moment was necessary. God is not careless with your story. He is intentional with every chapter. Sometimes God positions you in solitude. He pulls you away from the noise of people, away from the opinions of the crowd, away from the comfort of companionship. Not to punish you, but to speak to you. It is in the quiet places that God whispers the clearest. It is in solitude that you discover his voice above all others. Many resist solitude because it feels lonely. But solitude with God is not loneliness. It is preparation. It is where you learn that your strength comes not from applause, but from his presence, not from recognition, but from his assurance. When you have been positioned in solitude, you emerge stronger, more focused, and ready to stand in the place where your purpose will shine. Do not mistake the pruning of God for the rejection of God. A gardener prunes a tree not because it is dying, but because it is living. He cuts away branches not to harm it, but to multiply its fruit. The same is true for you. When God removes relationships, strips away opportunities, or takes you out of places you thought you belonged, it is not because you have no future. It is because your future demands it. He prunes because he sees what you cannot. He removes what is hindering your growth so that when your season comes, you will not just produce fruit, you will produce abundance. The positioning of God often feels uncomfortable because it breaks the patterns of your comfort zone. He may call you to leave behind what feels familiar in order to step into what feels uncertain. That uncertainty is not meant to paralyze you. It is meant to push you into deeper faith. Comfort zones may feel safe, but they can also suffocate purpose. If you never step beyond what is familiar, you will never discover what God has prepared. So, when he disrupts your comfort, when he shakes the ground beneath your feet, when he urges you to step into unknown territory, it is because he knows your purpose cannot flourish in complacency. It flourishes in courage, in obedience, in trust. Let me remind you, God does not consult your circumstances before determining your destiny. He does not ask permission from your background, your past, or your limitations. If he has chosen to position you, then nothing in your history disqualifies you. People may look at you and see failure, weakness, or insignificance. But God looks at you and sees potential, resilience, and destiny. He positions not based on human approval, but on divine purpose. And when God positions you, no opinion, no criticism, no doubt can undo it. Your positioning may not look like progress to those around you. Others may mock you, asking, where is your success? Where is your breakthrough? But do not measure yourself by the timelines of people. God's positioning is not bound by human calendars. He does not rush because of pressure. He does not delay because of doubt. He moves in his perfect timing. And when that timing collides with his positioning, your purpose will erupt with power. What once looked stagnant will suddenly overflow. What once looked delayed will suddenly accelerate. That is the rhythm of God, silent preparation, followed by sudden manifestation. When you arrive in the place God has prepared for you, it will not just benefit you, it will impact others. God's positioning is always bigger than the individual. He positions you not only for your flourishing, but so that through your flourishing, others may find hope, strength, and direction. Your testimony becomes their encouragement. Your breakthrough becomes their faith. Your purpose becomes the seed that sparks purpose in others. That is why you must endure the process faithfully. Because when you step into your flourishing, the ripple effect will reach far beyond what you can imagine. Do not be deceived into thinking that ease equals blessing. Sometimes the most blessed positioning of God comes wrapped in hardship. Sometimes the greatest growth emerges from the deepest struggle. It is in the valleys that you learn to depend on Him. It is in the storms that you discover His power. It is in the fire that you are refined into gold. Do not curse the fire. Thank God for it. For it is in that fire that impurities are burned away, and your true strength emerges. The fire does not destroy what God has placed within you. It reveals it. One of the greatest dangers you face is trying to position yourself outside of God's will. You may think you know the right path, the right place, the right timing. But if it is not where God has placed you, it will not flourish. You may achieve temporary success, but it will lack permanence. You may gain recognition, but it will lack fulfillment. Only what is built by God's hand will endure. So do not rush ahead of Him. Do not attempt to control what only He can orchestrate. Trust His placement, for His positioning carries with it both His blessing and His protection. Remember, God is not only concerned about where you are, but also about who you are while you are there. Purpose without character is dangerous. Influence without integrity is destructive. So before He positions you in a place of flourishing, He positions your heart in a place of humility. He strips away pride, self-sufficiency, and arrogance, because He knows that if you rise without humility, you will fall without mercy. But when you rise with humility, you will give glory not to yourself, but to God who placed you there. When the season of flourishing comes, it will not just be about material blessings or outward success. True flourishing is deeper. It is peace that cannot be shaken. It is strength that cannot be broken. It is joy that cannot be stolen. It is the fulfillment of walking in the exact purpose for which you were created. That is why you must desire God's positioning more than man's promotion. Because man may elevate you temporarily, but only God can position you permanently. And here, this flourishing in your purpose does not mean life will be free of challenges. The storms will still come, the winds will still blow, but you will stand firm because you are rooted where God placed you. The same storm that uproots a tree planted in shallow soil cannot move a tree whose roots are deep in the ground. Likewise, when you are positioned by God, the storms of life will not uproot you. They may bend you, they may stretch you, but they cannot break you. For your strength is not in the soil of circumstance. It is in the hand of the one who planted you there. There comes a time in every life when the waiting stretches so long, the silence grows so heavy, and the journey feels so uncertain that doubt begins to whisper. You wonder if God has forgotten you, if He has overlooked you, if He has left you behind. But I tell you now with unshakable conviction, God has not forgotten you. The one who created the stars knows your name. The one who set the boundaries of the oceans knows where you stand. The one who breathed life into your lungs has not abandoned the very purpose for which he made you. What you call delay, he calls design. What you call confusion, he calls construction. Behind what looks like stillness is the unseen movement of God, preparing the ground where your life will flourish. Do not mistake hiddenness for insignificance. God often works most powerfully in the places where no one is watching. Think of how rivers are formed. They do not begin as mighty streams rushing through the land. They begin as hidden springs flowing quietly beneath the surface, carving unseen pathways through stone and earth until the day they emerge with unstoppable force. That is what God is doing with you. He is carving pathways in silence, shaping your soul in secrecy, and when the right moment comes, you will break forth like a river that cannot be contained. You must learn to surrender not only your plans, but also your timeline. Many cry out, God, when? When will I see the breakthrough? When will the promise manifest? When will the vision unfold? But the when belongs to God. He who created time is not bound by time. He who designed eternity does not tremble at the ticking of a clock. The moment he chooses is always perfect, for he sees the beginning and the end at once. Trust that if he has not yet positioned you in the place of flourishing, it is because the soil is not yet ready, the environment is not yet prepared, or your roots are not yet deep enough. God will not place you prematurely, for what he plants is meant to last. Many struggle because they compare their journey to others. They look at those who seem to be advancing faster, rising higher, flourishing sooner, and they feel forgotten. But hear me well, comparison is a thief that blinds you to the faithfulness of God in your own life. You are not called to walk their path. You are called to walk yours. Their positioning is not your positioning. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their soil is not your soil. And if you envy what belongs to them, you may miss the beauty of what God is cultivating within you. Celebrate the work of God in others, but trust the hand of God upon you. For when your season comes, no comparison will matter, because what God has prepared for you will be uniquely yours. Sometimes the hand of God positions you in places that feel hostile. You find yourself surrounded by those who misunderstand you, who resist you, who even oppose you. But God does not need the approval of your environment to cause you to flourish. He can make you prosper even in the midst of opposition. He can bring forth growth in barren ground, strength in weak soil, victory in hostile territory. Remember, the power of your flourishing is not in the environment. It is in the hand of God who placed you there. If he has positioned you in the midst of adversity, it is because he knows that adversity will strengthen you, refine you, and prepare you for greater influence when your season shifts. Do not despise the stretching of God. When he stretches you, it is because he is enlarging your capacity. A vessel that is never stretched can only hold so little. But when it is expanded, it can carry more. In the same way, the trials that push you beyond your comfort, the tests that demand more than you thought you had, the seasons that feel like they are pulling you apart, those are the very seasons where God is stretching your capacity to carry the purpose he has designed for you. Without the stretching, you would not be able to contain the blessing. Without the breaking, you would not be able to handle the weight of the flourishing. There is a holy paradox in the way God works. He strengthens by weakening, he exalts by humbling, he advances by holding back. Why? Because he knows that purpose without dependence on him will collapse under its own weight. If he lifted you without first breaking your pride, the platform would destroy you. If he exalted you without first deepening your roots, the winds of success would sweep you away. But when you learn to depend entirely on God, when you acknowledge that your strength, your wisdom, your future all rest in his hands, then he can position you with confidence, knowing that you will flourish without falling. Look back on your life for a moment. Think of the doors that closed, the plans that failed, the people who walked away. At the time, you wept over those losses. At the time, you thought those moments marked the end of your dreams. But if you are honest, you can now see that many of those disappointments were blessings in disguise. What you thought was rejection was actually protection. What you thought was a setback was actually preparation. What you thought was abandonment was actually repositioning. God sees what you cannot. He protects you from roads that lead to destruction and guides you toward paths that lead to flourishing. Even when you resist, the greatest act of faith is not to demand answers, but to trust God when answers do not come. Can you stand firm when you do not understand? Can you keep walking when the path is unclear? Can you hold fast to your faith when nothing seems to change? That is true surrender. When you place your entire future in the hands of God and say, wherever you place me, I will remain. However you shape me, I will submit. However long you take, I will trust. And when you live with that posture, you discover a peace that surpasses explanation, because you know your life is anchored in the one who never fails. Your flourishing will not look like the world's definition of success. The world measures by wealth, by recognition, by status, but God measures by obedience, by faithfulness, by fruitfulness of spirit. To flourish in God's positioning is to live with peace, to walk with strength, to impact lives, to carry light into dark places, to fulfill the very reason you were created. Do not chase the fleeting crowns of men. Pursue the eternal purpose of God. For when he positions you in your destiny, you will not only find fulfillment, you will leave a legacy. And when that moment arrives, when you step into the place God has been preparing all along, you will realize why the waiting was necessary, why the silence was holy, why the pruning was merciful. You will look back and see the wisdom of God in every step. You will say, if not for the valley, I would not have learned strength. If not for the loss, I would not have discovered dependence. If not for the delay, I would not be ready for this moment. Gratitude will overwhelm you because you will finally understand that nothing was wasted. Everything was woven together by the hand of God to position you exactly where your purpose would flourish. So hold on, child of God. Do not surrender to despair. Do not bow to impatience. Do not let doubt rob you of your destiny. The God who formed you in the womb, who numbered your days, who charted your steps, is not finished with you. He is positioning you even now, even in this very season. And when the time comes, your flourishing will be undeniable, your impact unshakable, and your testimony unbreakable. For it will not be by your might nor by your power, but by the sovereign hand of God who has set you in the place where your purpose will rise and shine. Beloved, as we draw these words to a close, let your heart be steady in the knowledge that God has not brought you this far to leave you. Every turn, every trial, every delay has been part of his divine choreography. When you thought the door was shut, God was guiding you to the one he had prepared. When you felt the weight of silence, God was teaching you to listen deeper to his voice. And when you wondered why the path was lonely, God was setting you apart so that when he lifts you, the world will know it was by his hand alone. Do not despise the season you are in, for even in the waiting, God is working. Do not resent the valley, for it is in the valley that roots grow deep enough to withstand the winds of the mountain. Do not fear the unknown, for God's hand is already there, shaping a future that is brighter than anything you could design for yourself. Trust him when the night is darkest, and you will see that he was building your dawn. Trust him when the path feels uncertain, and you will find that he was laying the stones of your destiny. God is positioning you where your purpose will not only survive, but flourish. He is placing you in the exact environment where your gifts will be called forth. Your character will be tested and proven, and your life will declare his glory. You are not overlooked, you are not forgotten, and you are not misplaced. You are being planted by God himself. And when the season comes, you will rise not by accident, not by chance, but by divine appointment. So walk forward with courage, with faith, and with unshakable trust. Lift your eyes above the confusion of today and fix them on the certainty of God's plan. For the one who holds the universe holds your future, and the God who spoke worlds into existence is speaking life into your destiny. Stand strong, for the time is near when you will see that every step, every struggle, and every silence was leading you here to the place where your purpose will flourish under the hand of Almighty God